Hello and welcome back to part 3 of our 7-minute credit session. And this is part 3 out of 7. So I hope you have been benefiting from our 7-minute credit session. If you joined me last week, we discussed how to check your credit report for errors. Also, we discussed knowing the statute of limitation for your state. So make sure you know that. And if you have not accessed your free credit report or you do not know how, please make sure that you have reached out to me so I can tell you how to get your free credit report. Okay, for those of you who do not know who I am Crystal Moore. I am a credit coach with My Econ, or I am Crystal Moore, the credit slayer and debt eliminator. Okay, so let's jump right into what my goal is. My goal is to make 100 people realize that working on their credit is more than spending money that you don't have. As always, cash is king, but credit holds conversations. And I want you guys to be more knowledgeable about your finances so you can be debt free and not find yourselves in a hole in debt, paying off lenders and paying off bill collectors because you are spending more money than you actually have. Okay. Okay, so if you joined me for my very first presentation, we talked about what's in your FICO score, what makes up your FICO score. So what we're going to talk about today is your payment history, which makes up 35% of your FICO credit score. So we're going to talk a little bit about your payment history and how you can actually have the most points in this section on your FICO credit score. Okay, the best payment history tips I can give you is number one, always pay your bills on time. One late payment can affect your credit score up to 100 points of one late payment. If you miss payments, you need to get current and stay current. And if you're having trouble making ends meet, contact your creditors and talk to a credit counselor. A lot of times they will work with you if you've fallen into hard times and you have a good credit payment history. So make sure that you're contacting your lenders, especially now with the way times are. Some of you may be in a little bit of a financial situation. So make sure you're definitely contacting your lenders. Okay, and the next thing we're going to talk about is your reporting status. Your lenders have a numeric status that they put on your credit report, which is actually the status of your account. It just depends on when if you're past due on our account or late on account. It just depends on when your individual creditor will report that. Some of them report 1 to 30 days past due. Some of them report 31 to 60 days past due to the actual credit report agencies. So just make sure you're checking your lender's reporting policy. Okay, so number one is what I hope we all have, but if we don't, that's okay. Account being paid as agreed. So that's if you're paying your account on time. 2 through 4 is when your account is past due. 5 is when it's referred for collection. 6 is unused account. If you have not used, a lot of times if you have a credit card and you have not used it, that would be 6. 7 is if you have filed Chapter 13 or bankruptcy, or you're in some kind of debt consolidation program. 8 is repo, if you've had something repoed, and that can also be removed from your credit report. Get with me if you'd like to know how, or we'll discuss it later. And number 9 is when an account has been charged off. If you do not know what charged off is, you may see that on your account. A charge off comes about when you don't pay your creditor. If they have tried every effort to get payment for that account and it has not been successful, they will just list the account as charged off or an uncollectible debt. It still shows up on your credit report and it still has a negative impact on your credit score, but as always, check the statute of limitation for your state. Okay, so how do you earn the maximum points in the payment history category? Number one, and always number one, make sure you are paying your bills on time. Also, you want to know your creditor's grace period policy and pay before the last day of the grace period, especially if in some situations, a lot of creditors have a payment cutoff time, so it may not report the next day. It may take 2 or 3 days to actually post on the account. So even though you may have paid it before the due date, if it doesn't post by that due date, it can still fall as a late payment. So make sure you're checking your grace period for your credit accounts. And number 3, and 3 is the most important one, do not accrue more debt than you can afford to comfortably pay each month. And just because you can doesn't mean you should. Know what you can afford by keeping track of your monthly expenses each month. This is especially true for right now. A lot of programs, they have a lot of loan programs offering you loans, and small business loans. My thing with that is, if you're like me, I personally don't want to take out a loan on anything because I don't know what the future may bring. A lot of credit card companies are also increasing your limit, which is great for your overall credit score. But just because you have a limit increase, that doesn't mean you go max out your credit cards or you spend more money than you can actually afford to pay back next month. The main goal of these PowerPoint presentations is to make you more aware of your finances, because like I said at the beginning, I do not want you to be in a hole just because you can afford something, or just because a lender is saying that you can afford it based off your income. Can you really afford it to live comfortably? Or are you going to find yourself in a situation where you're in debt and working so hard to get out of debt that you can't enjoy life? So let's talk about our homework assignment. If you have your free credit report, I want you to highlight, circle any negative payment history accounts on your credit report. DM me immediately if you'd like to discuss how to get them removed from your account. Also DM or message me if you have not accessed your free credit account. So that is all that I have for today. I will see you again next week for part 4 of our 7-minute credit session. So I'll see you guys next week. Bye.